And we already have just an awful hurricane bearing down again on the U.S. this week, this time Hurricane Milton, which in just a matter of hours today went from a Category 1 hurricane to a Category 5, now barreling toward Florida with 180-mile-an-hour winds tonight. This is the strongest hurricane in the Gulf in nearly 2 decades, and it's headed directly toward Florida, the Tampa Bay area, and much of the Gulf Coast of Florida bracing tonight. Urgent warnings at this hour, mass evacuations. The hurricane spinning over the record warm waters of the Gulf, about 675 miles from Tampa, set to make landfall. You can see the track right there Wednesday night or in the early morning hours of Thursday. The new forecast just in tonight, they're now warning of a potential historic storm surge up to 15 feet. The Tampa area, as I mentioned, in the bullseye, just as they still clear away debris from Helene. They are warning Milton's storm surge could be far worse. In Dade City tonight and in so many other Florida communities, families are racing to protect their homes, preparing for widespread power outages, waiting in long lines already for gas. Tonight, hundreds of thousands are under mandatory evacuations, officials begging them to obey this. Heavy traffic headed inland on I-275. This is over Tampa Bay. Vice President Kamala Harris just moments ago with a warning about this coming hurricane, asking residents to listen to their local authorities and to take this very seriously. Let's get right to Chief Meteorologist Ginger Zee live in Tampa tonight with the new forecast just in from the National Hurricane Center. And Ginger, it's just stunning how quickly this went from a Category 1 to a Category 5 hurricane today.
Yeah, and David, not only meteorologically is this remarkable out over the ocean, but it's the impacts. And I know you know it's all about how humans will be seeing this, and that's the part that I am unfortunately having jaw-dropping moments. Like 10 to 15 feet of surge around here, that is more than doubling what we saw just 2 weeks ago, which was a record, meaning that people have never seen anything like that, not just here in Tampa Bay, but we'll get to all of it. Let's start with, yes, how fast. 95-mile-per-hour winds increase in 24 hours. Only 2 other hurricanes in history have done that. It's still more than 670 miles to our southwest here from Tampa Bay. It's kind of skirting across the Yucatan there, but it is going to head east and then eventually northeast right here. Why we have a hurricane warning from Cedar Key to Fort Myers, Orlando and Lakeland included, because you're going to have hurricane-force gusts, power outages that go right through the center of the state. Let's talk about all of the cone, right? The cone means the center could go anywhere in there, and every little tick north or south is going to make huge impacts because this is a little bit more concentric or tighter than Helene was, and so you're going to have the biggest surge right in that front right quadrant, or the eye wall, which currently goes right over Bradenton, Sarasota, down to Venice. That big push of water, the biggest loss of life and property, the storm surge, 10 to 15 feet around here in Tampa Bay. That's Reddington Shores, it's Madeira, it's Clearwater, but all the way down again. Fort Myers in 6 to 10 feet. That is structural damage. You could have homes wash away, cars wash away in that type of surge. You also will have 110+ mile-per-hour winds all the way to Lakeland. So those power outages, trees into homes, all the way over to the Space Coast. Up to Jacksonville, you'll have onshore flow. And finally, David, up to 15 inches of rain with some of those bands that could also produce tornadoes. We're going to be watching this very closely over the next couple of days. Ginger, I know you're going to have the very latest first thing in the morning on GMA. We'll be watching. Of course, there are mandatory evacuations underway at this hour. Homeowners trying to protect their homes before getting out of the path of this hurricane. Our Victor Akendo made his way to St. Pete Beach, right there in the evacuation zone on this urgent effort now underway tonight.
Tonight, Hurricane Milton taking aim at Florida. Just 10 days after Helene slammed the state with 140-mile-an-hour winds and record storm surge.
We can't affect the track. We can't control how strong or how weak it gets. The only thing that you can affect is what you do and the decisions you make to protect yourself and your families.
Evacuation orders growing by the hour. Hundreds of thousands told in no certain terms to get out while there's still time.
If they have called for your evacuation order, I beg you, I implore you to evacuate.
Families frantically filling sandbags, shoring up what they can, stocking up and getting out.
I have a 1-year-old as of tomorrow, and my wife's expecting our second child, so we just want to take necessary precautions.
Interstates packed, bumper to bumper. Authorities waiving tolls and opening the shoulders to create more lanes.
We're on Interstate 275 in Tampa. This is one of the main evacuation routes from the coast inland. And if you take a look behind me, traffic, it's just crawling by, and it's like this for miles.
In Treasure Island,
It's heartbreaking.
we met Mike Harp, helping his mom Linda salvage what they can from her home as crews scramble to clear debris from the streets.
Is that a welcome sight right now?
Oh,
Yeah,
yes, it's
so
great.
right.
All that stuff would be like battering rams against houses and stuff and probably knock holes in them.
Or picked up like projectiles with the wind.
Right.
They, like so many, are evacuating tonight.
So far, more than 650 truckloads of debris have been removed. Residents in St. Pete Beach have been bringing their belongings ruined by Helene here. This pile, it has now grown. It is about 20 feet tall, nearly a block long. The county is aware. Crews will continue working to clear everything until tropical storm force winds hit. David, they will need every minute.
Wow, look at that behind you. And Victor, I know you and the team reached out to local authorities just to remind them that that pile does exist, because all of that becomes projectiles and yet another hurricane now bearing down. Victor and the team, our thanks to you as well.